Allow me to introduce myself. Who knows what dastardly crime he might perpetrate next?
He's a very clever arch criminal who must be put away. Another innocent victim of this suicidal maniac.
There's a lot of unnecessary suffering going on just because people believe the wrong things. They believe in pills, they believe in medicines, they believe depression cannot be tackled, they believe you cannot enter into your brain. And I tell you, we found a way to get back to yourself, get back to Mother Nature within us and make some sense within yourself. You are the one who is able now to make yourself happy, strong, and healthy. And that is entering in all those systems just by your mind. We are showing this through science, but do you need science when I already show this in science with data, scientific results, brain scans, no speculation, I tell you, but it takes time for publishing and to get it into books and to get it in mainstream. I tell you here and right now, if you just believe and breathe and take a cold shower for God's sake, because it's good for your blood system, then you will become in the ability to realign with the control within yourself, to become happy, strong, and healthy, to control your mood and your energy management and all. Look it otherwise up, because it is simple, very effective. It's here right now. So my message to you is just breathe and believe.
The sole time in my political career where I think I ran more just because it was the next thing, rather than running because I had a good theory of what it is that I wanted to do. And this is a mistake I think a lot of folks who get into politics make. And so when I see White House interns or I talk to young people, I always tell them, worry less about what you want to be and worry more about what you want to do. Because when you're more concerned with, I want to be a congressman, or I want to be a senator, or I want to be rich, then, you know, some people may succeed in chasing that goal, but when they get there, they don't know what to do with it. And if they don't get there, they don't have anything to show for it. But if you're worrying about, I want to improve education in low-income neighborhoods, or I want to deal with climate change and help save the planet, then whatever you're doing in pursuit of that goal, in and of itself is going to be worthwhile. And it's going to teach you things, and it's going to put you in a position to have an impact. And then if it turns out as a result that you also end up being successful in politics or whatever thing you're pursuing, then so much the better. The most successful business people that I know, Bill Gates didn't start off saying, I want to be the richest man in the world. He started off saying to himself, I really think these computers are cool, and I want to write cool software. That's what he wanted to do. Worked out well for him.
To be clear, I never gave up medicine. I hit the ripcord, the eject, the launch, the whatever. I aborted, I dropped out, I quit. specifically because I was chasing something that somebody else wanted for me, something that not just my parents, not just my family, but I felt like what society expected of me. I literally remember asking people like, oh, what should I do when I grow up? Was you're experimenting and thinking about this as a young person. And they're like, well, you're smart, you get good grades, you're a hard worker, you should be a doctor, because that's what people who are hardworking and smart do. Be a doctor or a lawyer, you make good money. And like, literally that was the societal frame that I was given. I'm done with this water. I don't know why I still hold on to that water. And I think that's horrible. It's catastrophic. If we could change one thing with our culture, I think a great start, maybe not the end all be all, but would be encouraging people to do the thing that they love, that they feel like they were put on this earth to do. That's what I did. And believe me, I'm making it sound like it was easy. It was so hard. I spent years and years doing what other people wanted me to do. And I had to grow a pair and do a lot of soul searching in here and figure out what I wanted to do, and then B, have the heart to do that thing. And I feel like I'm a very confident, hardworking person who had a lot going on, middle-class upbringing. I can't say that I had this a childhood built with struggle, and it was hard for me to break through the clutter and do the thing that I was supposed to do. So for those folks who were disadvantaged, came from a single family home or a single parent home, or God, there's a million challenges. I can only imagine how hard it is. So long answer, but it was very hard for me to not pursue medicine, but dear God, if I could change one thing, I would help people find their passion.
We're resistant of having the tough conversations in our female relationships, in our relationships in general, in life, with our parents, whatever it is, because we're not used to that spike in emotions, because it feels like it's this tidal wave coming at us.
End of the world feeling.
Totally. Yeah. But what happens is, and I just had one of the toughest conversations in my life with my mother like 2 weeks ago, and it's this spike, right? It's like I had to do the Mel Robbins 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, no lie. Like I was like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, dial, or you're never doing this.
Yeah.
Like I was like, wanted to throw up. So it's a tidal wave, but what happens is the second you start getting it out, it's literally 30 seconds to a minute, it clears and you're on the other side.
It feels so much better when you're done.
So much better.
Biggest weight.
Even 30 seconds in though. So it's just that first spike of beforehand that it's like all the resistance is right here, right now. You guys, if we would start having these tough conversations more often, your whole life changes. Like your entire life changes and things just start coming to you, because it's all about understanding that we are all so different. We're bringing in a million different things from our past, and we're bringing it into this moment right now, and we don't even know it. Like everything I'm perceiving about you is because of what I've perceived from my past. And it's not until I verbalize how I feel if something's a block with me that you would ever even know that, maybe tall men scare me.
Sure.
But for real.
For a lot of women it does.
And I'm just being honest.
Yeah, no, for a lot of women,
they don't scare me. But I'm just saying anything simple like that we're bringing into the moment, and there's so many things, layers that we don't even realize we're showing up as, or we're carrying with us, that is blocking a connection if you're not speaking. The idea of having tough conversations, this reflects even in business for all of us. It's like we're scared to have these tough conversations. We're scared to hurt people. We're scared to say how we feel because we could really, what if we're not friends anymore? We think that we're supposed to have these friends and they're supposed to be our lifelong friends. And that is a huge disempowering belief as well.
Because then you got to hold on to something that maybe is 10, 20 years outdated. Or that no longer serves either of you.
Yes. I mean, I can't tell you the amount of women who are like, yeah, but these are the women who I grew up with and I was in a sorority with. I'm like, you're never going to move forward. You're carrying all of them back here and you're evolving and becoming a new person. Like every single day, if we're doing it right, we should have someone say to us, you've changed. Be like, heck yeah, hallelujah, because I'm growing. I want to become a different person. And I think we're dragging all of these people behind us, and we're dragging all of these stories and all of this stuff, and we're showing up and we're exhausted and we're trying to meet each other and we're like, oh my God, that's in the women who are maybe doing the work or who are really ready to connect. If you're carrying all that, they're not ready to connect with all of that either. Mm-hmm.
In the TED Talk, I cited this statistic that I had read years ago, and that is that a scientist had calculated the odds of you and me being born. And when you think about just even the sexual act of your parents in a lifetime relationship, the number of times they would actually be intimate, the amount of sperm that go, the odds of one egg and one sperm, and then you throw in the DNA and the uniqueness of your DNA structure. Some scientists calculated all of those odds and figured out that the odds of you being you, who you are, born the day that you were born, to the parents that you have, with the DNA structure that you have, given all the other variables that could have changed something, the odds are 1 in 400 trillion that you are you. And so what that means to me is that you're meant to be here, that there is a reason why you were born, and the journey of your life is to figure it out. And I think it's actually simple. I think that life is very simple, and we complicate it because we have brains that can tell stories, and we have bodies that can sense danger. And so we overcomplicate things. And the purpose of your life is to listen to your heart and soul and to follow it, and to express the highest version of you, not the self-doubt, not the anxiety, not the fears, not the pettiness, not the frustrations, but to actually have the courage to be fully expressed as like, it sounds stupid, but as a great human being, to have the courage to be kind, to have the courage to be patient, to have the courage to cheer for other people, and to have the courage to tune into that wisdom that's inside of you and lean into it. Follow the things that pique your curiosity. Do more of the that actually expands your heart and expands the amount of energy in your body. And slowly but surely, if you align all your decisions and the things that you spend time on and the people that you spend time on with the things that naturally energize you, your whole life will experience a shift.
With our customers, my team runs a protocol called the 10x value obsession. How can we deliver 10 times the value at every single touch point of the user experience that our customers who come to the live events or go into my online course or even read my books are expecting? They pay $20 for a book or $30 for a book. How can I give them millions of dollars of real value? Someone said to me recently, in your mastery sessions, you're giving away the store or something like that. I sort of can't believe how much value you give. And my reply was, because my intent is to serve. I mean, this is not a business for me. Yes, I run a business and a series of businesses. I'm an entrepreneur. But the point really is, my intent is so much larger than that. I'm on a mission bordering on an obsession to help everyday people understand the neurobiology of greatness. And they can lead without a title. If you've read my book, The Leader Who Had No Title. That they have heroism in them, and then giving them the neuroscience, the research, the performance data that will help them win in their careers, live great lives, live their potential. This is so much more than a business for me. And this comes from value number 2. I see this as a movement, a sense of community, a sense of giving, a sense of helping you fortify the genius within you in a very difficult world. So you say, Robin has given me thousands of ideas in these free mastery sessions that I can choose to act on every day to go out there and fireproof my heroism so I can do great work that wows the world, do great things for my family, and leave an impact on history that stands the test of time. And if I do that in my own way, then I've served you and I've done my job well.
You make a business decision. I've done these myself. You make a business decision or a choice, and it turns out to be a mistake. You were totally wrong. You can see that as a mistake, and you can get down on yourself, or you can see it as a chance to get comfortable with failure, because failure is a part of life. A scientist doesn't get upset when a hypothesis that they had turns out to be wrong, because that's what they do. That's the whole point. They're learning each time they do something wrong. Or a computer, I'm sure as college students, a lot of you get this as well. You spend weeks and weeks working on a paper, and the computer deletes it, right? A glitch erases the work that you've had. So you can get upset. You can do what I did the last time this happened to me, was you get so upset that you kick a trash can across the room and it makes a huge dent in the wall. Or you can see this as a chance to start over. You can see it as a chance to, now that you've been through it once, to do it again and ultimately produce a piece of work that's of higher quality than maybe you originally intended to turn in. You can use it as a chance to actually raise your standard rather than simply muddle through. What's the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. I try to think about this in my own life whenever I'm facing any kind of situation. And I've yet to find one that isn't made better from this attitude, that isn't made better by seeing each and every obstacle as a chance to practice excellence in a new form. And I think today we all face our own problems. There's tough economic times. We have a political situation that's we all face individual obstacles as a daily basis, and we culturally face obstacles. But we have a chance to see those things like they saw them, which is to not only not see them as bad, but to see them as opportunities, as chances to improve or to practice something that perhaps we otherwise wouldn't have practiced.
There's no such thing as winning business. There's no such thing as winning global politics. And there's definitely no such thing as winning education. But if we listen to the language of too many organizations, they don't know the game they're in. They talk about being the best. They talk about being number one. They talk about beating their competition. The problem is, there's no such thing. Let me give you a real-life example that sheds some light on what I'm talking about. I spoke at an education summit at Microsoft. I also spoke at an education summit at Apple. At the Microsoft Summit, the vast majority of the executives spent the vast majority of their presentations talking about how to beat Apple. At the Apple Summit, 100% of the executives spent 100% of their presentations talking about how to help teachers teach and how to help students learn. One was obsessed with where they were going, the other one was obsessed with their competition. Guess which one was in quagmire? At the end of my talk at Microsoft, they gave me a gift. They gave me the new Zune when it was a thing. This was Microsoft's response to the iPod. And this little piece of technology was absolutely incredible. It was beautifully designed. The user interface was intuitive and very simple to use. It was really brilliant, I have to say. So at the end of my Apple talk, I was sharing a taxi with a very senior Apple executive, employee number 54 to be exact. And I decided to stir the pot. I couldn't help myself. I turned to him and I said, Microsoft gave me their new Zune, and it is so much better than your iPod Touch. To which he said, I have no doubt. And the conversation was over. Because the infinite player understands sometimes your competitor has the better product, and sometimes you have the better product. And sometimes you're ahead, and sometimes you're behind. But there's no such thing as best or first or beating your competition. There's only ahead and behind. And the reality of an infinite game is you're actually only competing against yourself. That the objective every single day is how do we become a better version of our own institution this year than we were last year? How do we improve the quality of our culture? How do we improve the quality of the way we provide the service that we claim to be providing? How do we improve ourselves? That is the main point of being an infinite game, because at the end of the day, we don't have the same metrics as everybody else, and we're not even necessarily playing to the same end.
Wait a minute.
I called up Bill Hewlett when I was 12 years old, and he lived in Palo Alto. His number was still in the phone book. And he answered the phone himself. He said, yes? He said, hi, I'm Steve Jobs. I'm 12 years old. I'm a student in high school, and I want to build a frequency counter. And I was wondering if you had any spare parts I could have. And he laughed, and he gave me the spare parts to build this frequency counter, and he gave me a job that summer at Hewlett-Packard, working on the assembly line, putting nuts and bolts together on frequency counters. He got me a job in the place that built them. And I was in heaven. And I've never found anyone who said no or hung up the phone when I called. I just asked. And when people ask me, I try to be as responsive, to pay that debt of gratitude back. Most people never pick up the phone and call. Most people never ask. And that's what separates sometimes the people that do things from the people that just dream about them. You gotta act. And you've got to be willing to fail. You've got to be willing to crash and burn. With people on the phone, with starting a company, with whatever. If you're afraid of failing, you won't get very far.
Most people who start a business very often will start 2 and 3, 4 more. And the reason they do it is because the first one isn't succeeding or they no longer
lack patience.
Exactly right. And so what happens to that person is they're never going to be successful in most cases, unless they get lucky. You can get lucky, you can bounce across something that's easier to do. But most people are always looking for that next level. What my view is it's great to test all these things, but you got to find what is your flagship. What is it that you're going to commit your soul to? Because if you don't do that, the inevitable challenge are going to come up and you're going to then move on to something else 100%. That's more enjoyable. And so the other thing I look at is business is about constantly not only adding such massive value, doing more for others than anybody else, but it's also simultaneously about your own psychology. It's your ability to go through thresholds of control. It's like, I can remember when I didn't have $50,000 to keep the doors open on my company. I had 12 employees and 11 wanted to quit because they hated the person running the show. And $50,000 would be like $500 million to me today. And I figured out how to get through that threshold. And once I did, like all the problems related to that were handled. I know you've done this as well. And then I had a $5 million lawsuit that was totally unfair and unjust. And I finally had just the amount of time, energy, and money I had to bite the bullet and do it. And $5 million was more than I could ever met. Then I had a partner who took a company that was losing $1 million a day and turned it to $1.5 billion in positive EBITDA. I'm not mentioning names, Amway. And he wanted me to join him in business with some other partners, not doing the multi-level side. Did the business, put in $10 million. We all put in $10 million, it was $40 million in debt. But I signed joint and several, which I didn't understand in those days what that meant. And 2 of my partners were supposedly billionaires and they went broke. We bought some more companies. I ended up with $120 million in debt that I was on the hook for. No one else had any money. And I'm getting up to do a seminar wanting to throw up it was a new threshold of control. So you know when you ski or you snowboard and you think you're just new at it and you think you're going down a blue or green and it turns out to be a double black and you're like,
yeah.
Right? And so you have two choices. One is you start to go down and you freak out and you're gonna die, you slam on the ground and try to hang on for dear life, or the other is, baby, you focus on where you wanna go and you find a way to curve, you find a way to cut. And once you do it a couple of times,
you get used to it.
You have no more fear of that element. Now, my biggest one out of that led me to $1 billion. I have 31 companies now, to give you an idea, 7 different industries as diverse as like, stem cells to virtual reality. We have the exclusive to the NBA now in virtual reality, to give an example. I got 1,200 employees. We're on 3 continents, and we got $5 billion in sales. But I did that because I first stayed on one frickin' thing.
Exactly
I got so masterful at it.
What is the driver? What's that thing that makes you be so willing to suffer?
It's the promise of that crack hit for me, which is the aha moment.
In you or in you and other people?
So it's both. And the reason that I get such a high from it is if I can crack the code in the sense that I find something that saves people hundreds of hours, or myself hundreds of hours in the learning curve for a particular skill or a particular type of recovery, or fill in the blank, just an elegant or non-obvious solution to a long-standing problem, I'm like, oh, okay. I can't wait to see how people are going to respond. When I provide that to 1,000 people and I see for most of them, the vast majority just go, holy f. Like if you take someone, for instance, I didn't learn to swim until I was in my 30s. I think we may have talked about this. I grew up on Long Island, but I was deathly afraid of drowning because I had some near drowning incidents and some lung issues. And now at this point, I was taught by this gentleman named Terry Laughlin, something called total immersion, which I first learned from a book, which I was introduced to by Chris Sacca, who's a billionaire investor in this book, oddly enough. But you can take someone, which I did with Terry at one point for the Tim Ferriss Experiment, the first TV show I did. This mother of 2, I think, Sarah, who had never been able to swim, couldn't even put her head underwater in the pool comfortably. And 4 days later, open water swimming 500 meters in the ocean in like 40-foot deep water, freestyle. And when you show someone that an impossible like that is not only possible, but that they can crack it really quickly, that's my drug of choice. I just get such a high out of it.